We measured certain things and we just really saw the business impact that these membership patients were making to the business side of the practice. The dentist I worked with was really business savvy, and we were like, let's create our own plan. Fast forward, it grew, our patients loved it, the business loved it. The consumers want something that's transparent. They want the confidence that they can come in for those cleaning appointments where they think that's all they're getting is their cleaning. And they want to know that when they get there, they're not going to have all these surprise bills.
Yep. Welcome to a new era of dentistry, the ultimate podcast for uncovering the latest trends, breakthroughs, and real-life stories in the dental industry. Hosted by me, Ashley Bond, co-founder and chief dental billing officer at Wisdom. Let's dive right in. Hello, welcome back. I am thrilled to welcome today Megan Lohman to the show. Megan is the founder and co-CEO of Plan Forward and someone who's been making waves in the dental industry, helping practices implement successful in-house membership plans. So excited to have you, Megan, with us today. Well, Megan's background is so interesting, from medical sales to staffing and recruiting to being the first employee at a sports marketing startup, which is so neat. My husband would love that. But it was her hands-on experience as a practice financial coordinator that ultimately led her to co-found Plan Forward, a dental membership software company that helps practices build personalized, automated, in-house membership plans. Megan's passionate about helping practices find ways to offer patients affordable care without the hassle of insurance, and we'll be diving into all of that today. So welcome, Megan, to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so I would love to dive right in because I'm excited to learn more. But before we get into the membership plan portion, I would love just to share and hear a little bit about your story on how you got started. How did you get started in the dental industry? How did Plan Forward come to life?
Yeah, so I think like many people who are not dental clinicians, you trip into the dental industry. So by happenstance, I start working in a friend's husband's practice, just kind of wearing all the business hats, right? I don't have necessarily a traditional dental office manager background. So I'm working in this practice. The Affordable Care Act was implemented. Employers started changing their insurance benefit elections. And so it just created more and more conversations around dental insurance. Is it valuable? Patients were really kind of leaning on us and me to, recommend the best benefit plan. And the dentist I worked with was really business savvy. And we were like, let's create our own plan. And, this isn't rocket science. This is something that people have been doing on pen and paper for a long time. But I think we took a more strategic kind of business approach to it. And so when we rolled it out, we measured certain things and we just really saw the business impact that these membership patients were making to the business side of the practice. But also, it was just checking the box for the patients. And they just stopped asking questions. They're like, oh, cool. You have a plan? I'll just sign up with that. There was no, oh, well, are you in network with this? And well, can you compare these plans and let me know which one I should do? I mean, it just took all of that off the table. So fast forward, it grew, our patients loved it, the business loved it. We needed a management system. And at the time, there wasn't a platform on the market that we thought was what we wanted to spend our dollars on. So we saw the opportunity in the market and I stepped out of the practice and started Plan Forward. So that was that back in 2017 was really kind of when it started. 2018 is when we formally launched.
That is an amazing story. And how funny that all of us just end up in dentistry. Like no one knows how we got here.
And then nobody leaves.
No, you don't. Once you're in, and I always call it the mafia, because once you're in dental, you can't get out. Even if you want to, sometimes you're stuck. But I think it points to the industry and just how passionate people are when you get into dental. Because I think we just want to help patients. We want to be able to help patients get the treatment that they need and that they deserve to get without the insurance headaches involved.
And I think it's a big enough industry, but it's a small industry. Yes. And it's professional and it's just got, amazing people. Now I sit kind of on the vendor side. awesome, other vendors, just the vendor relationships are wonderful. Even our competitors, we have great relationships with. So it's just a really awesome industry to be part of.
I love that you just had a need and you guys created it. And you didn't find something in the market that was exactly what you wanted. So you created what you wanted, which I love. I would love if you could talk about like what was it that you felt like was missing that
Yep.
Plan Forward provides for dental
Mhm.
offices.
So there were very specific things that we felt we wanted. And keep in mind, this was a solo practitioner, private practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so things that these practitioners take very personally, like their brand. We wanted a white labeled solution. We already had a plan that worked. We liked the pricing. We liked the structure of the plan. We didn't want to take a plan, flip it on its head, and have to shove it in a square box and use a different plan just so that we could use the technology. So when we built this, it was like, this needs to work for their plan, not we have 3 off the shelf plans and it has to work for the business. So we wanted white labeled. We wanted our plan to stay the same. We wanted to be collecting money directly from our patients. We didn't want a third party collecting and remitting back net amounts. So price obviously was part of it. So it was really kind of the white labeled, customized. We wanted to keep that patient relationship. We didn't want to pass that off and it feel like some sort of patient financing, like a third party financing. And so that's how we approached the entire business. These plans do help patients afford care. There's no doubt about it. But we exist truly to make the business side of the practice stronger. So while this enables patient access, we're here to make sure that this is a good business decision for the practice.
Yeah, that's great. And I think too, what kind of sets dental apart, even from the medical industry, is that personal relationship that we really get and have with patients. I feel like that is unlike any other industry in healthcare, where at least in my father's practice, like your patients became like your family. Like you knew where they were going on vacation, not all of them, but a majority of them, you knew them like family.
Yep. And there's a lot of anxiety about going to the dentist.
Yeah.
So when people find a dentist or a hygienist or a team that they feel comfortable with, they want to stay there. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you have that connection with your patients, you really want to do anything you can to keep them. And just the sheer cost of, acquiring a new patient versus keeping your existing ones, it's a big difference.
Oh, definitely. We'd always be so focused on new patient numbers. But then consultants, very smart consultants coming in, be like, what about the ones leaving the back door? Like just,
Yep.
it's not all about new patients. If anything, it's more about retention than
Mhm.
always trying to fill new patients because you have more leaving the back door. So that,
Exactly.
yeah,
Like you
definitely a
know
great point.
what your patient attrition rate is going to be. And
Yeah.
so just plan for that and just try to keep it, within a reasonable level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you guys do of allowing that white label, the customization, because I do think in dentistry,
Mhm.
customer experience and the patient experience is so important. And every office operates so different. Every office, and we work with a lot of clients.
Yep.
Nobody does billing the same. Like everyone has their little and if then that I love that you allow offices to stay like their own niche and they don't have to conform to what
Mhm.
everyone else is doing.
And we certainly have learned over these whatever 7 years best practice. We have
Sure.
recommendations. We
Yep.
know, if you're going to set it up this way, this is the pro and con, what's most important to you. Sometimes we don't necessarily agree with what they choose, but at the end of the day, it's their business.
Yeah.
It's not maybe what we would recommend, but truly it's your decision. And we're going to guide you through it, but you make all of the final calls. That's
Yeah.
how we approach it.
That's great. I love that. Well, I would love, even if we started very basic level, for anyone
Yeah.
that might not be familiar with dental memberships, can you break down what a dental membership plan actually is for a
Mhm.
dental practice?
Absolutely. It's really a bundled plan of preventive care services for your patients for a set fixed fee. Generally, practices have just different packages or different bundles based on the general is hygiene and perio. Sometimes they have a child hygiene, an adult hygiene, and a perio plan. Some people get real creative with the bundles and things they add and things like that. But in general, you bundle the preventive care services that is your standard of care for a year for any patient cohort, and you figure out a yearly or a monthly price, and that's what it is. And then for joining, practices generally extend a courtesy discount to those members.
It seems like everyone should be doing it. Like, so obvious. I'm like, everyone should have this. Could you like talk to me on why do you think every office doesn't have a membership plan? Because all I see is pros. Are there
Yep.
any cons? Or like what do you hear or what do you think is the main reason why everyone isn't jumping on having a membership plan in their office?
It's such a great question. And it's something that people from outside the dental industry, when they ask me what I do, they're
Mm-hmm.
like, this has to be a no brainer. Like every office, like, do you even have a sales problem? But, I think there's two sides of the market, right? There's solo
Right.
dentists, private practice dentists, and there's, kind of the DSO corporate side. Dentists are clinicians at heart. They're not necessarily business people. And the revenue side of the business is so structured around insurance and that
Mm-hmm.
standard fee and that reimbursement, that allowed amount. And every, service code is tied to a payment. And what is that adjusted production? And so that framework, when you rip that out and you say, hey, scratch that thinking, bundle the services, put a price on it, and yeah, you have some loss leaders in there. Yes, some of those services are going to say zero, maybe, or some of them will be 50% of the UCR just to get the fee schedule to make sense. But that concept is just really hard, I think, for some dentists to grasp or some office managers to grasp. That at the end of the day, they end up thinking, why are we discounting services for cash patients, uninsured patients who otherwise are paying our full fees?
Right.
There's two mindsets. There's the consumer mindset and there's the dentist or the business owner mindset. The business owner mindset says, my cash patients come in and they pay my full fees because they don't have insurance. But all of us know that's not actually ever happening. They're writing off x-rays, they're giving
Mm-hmm.
discounts, they're not taking that FMX when it's really due, or the patient's not accepting fluoride because they don't want to pay for it. They're not necessarily optimizing the cash patient. And we know based on data, that patient is coming in on average once every 18 months. So even if you
Mm-hmm.
work on your full fees, they're only coming in once every 18 months. On the consumer side of things, consumers have no idea what you're going to be billing out at
Mm-mm.
any appointment. They don't know that a cleaning appointment is generally 4 to 5 codes, 4 to 5 service codes. And they don't know when they're due for a Pano or an FMX or why you're taking, vertical bite wings or if you need an additional PA. All they hear is cha-ching, 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 and they feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's just charge, 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 charge. So it's really like the consumers want something that's transparent. They want the confidence that they can come in for those cleaning appointments where they think that's all they're getting is their cleaning. And they want to know that when they get there, they're not going to have all these surprise bills.
Yeah.
And so you have to give them a way to be confident in coming in and saying yes to services. And you have to kind of get out of your head that insurance construct that everybody's so trained, to abide by.
Yes. And, as you're talking about the consumer experience, I can't help but think even about my own self and outside dentistry. If I think about it, like for family trips, I love all inclusive trips for our family with I have 4 children because I know we'll prepay it and
Yep.
that cost isn't going to change. And honestly, like that might be more expensive than if we just did everything out of pocket during the trip. But the fear of the unknown is what I prefer to do it ahead of time. That
Can,
I,
can I steal that? Can I use that all
yes,
inclusive analogy? Because it's brilliant.
if I'm not thinking dentistry, it's how my mind works. Like I'll pay more to just know that this is all I'm paying. So like for me, if I didn't have dental insurance, like I would rather just know what I have to pay upfront, no surprises. Then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do it because I've prepaid. It's the not knowing fear, especially when it comes to health bills. I
Yep.
think it really stops people from getting the treatment that they deserve to get.
Yep. I think about like, dermatology. And
Yeah.
to it's something that I don't know why I've just never really taken advantage of, but I really would love to. I have
Same.
no concept for how much that stuff costs or what. I guess I could call and ask, but man, if they were like, yeah, you get, regular yearly checkups or whatever, they package it like a
Yes.
membership plan, so much easier for my brain.
100%. Yes. And that's like, I haven't been to my dermatologist. Oh my goodness. It's been years. And I know you're supposed to go every year. And it's not because I don't want to. It's like last time I went, there was some insurance issues. So it's just prevented. I don't want to do the hassle.
Yep.
So I haven't gone back in. Like, it's
Yep.
such a silly reason. But I bet you this is the reason why patients don't come in, is the unexpected and not being sure what it's going to cost. So let's give them another option.
And that is such a missed opportunity for the
Yes.
practice because
Yes.
what is filling your treatment chair? It's your hygiene
Mm-hmm.
funnel. And those x-rays are what diagnose and allow you to present treatment. So if
Yeah.
you can just get people to say yes and come in easily and readily take those x-rays and prevent the emergencies for them, but
Yeah.
also present the treatment that's needed, you're just going to have such a better, more predictable
Mm-hmm.
experience on the business side.
100%. And this is not on the outline that I gave you, but it has me thinking about even what's happened with the unfortunate events with United Healthcare and
Mhm.
the buzz now with insurance
Mhm.
companies, not just
Yep.
dental, but medical, that it makes me wonder. Like, I found myself, even for my primary doctor, looking at more of these holistic or like membership plans, because I also have no idea what my medical insurance will cover. And you don't really always know until after the procedure's done. And so
Yep.
I don't want the fear. So I'm looking at other ways for my primary doctor, that I wonder if this is going to be a new trend in our culture, that getting away from this insurance dependence and finding more practitioners that have these membership plans.
I'm doing the same thing personally for my primary care, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to find availability. I'm in Indianapolis, and there aren't that many direct primary care physicians that run private practices. And so
Mm-hmm.
this one particular that woman that I would love to go see opened a practice, and she had a 200 patient wait list. And so she's full and she has a 200 patient wait list. It's not only the transparency, but it's the amount of time these practitioners can invest in you as a patient
Mm-hmm.
because they know what they're essentially collecting and they
Yeah.
set their rates and they're collecting their rates. So
Yeah.
for dentists, you know what a membership patient is bringing to your practice in terms of revenue for those hygiene visits. So, I mean, you have to start looking at production per visit, visits per provider, things like that. And, how do you work smarter, not harder, and
Mm-hmm.
give patients, the best experience that you can.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll be interested just to see. We'll have to have a follow up in 5 years. Let's see how the industry has changed.
That's right.
But I see it shifting, and that's why, wanted to have you on here as well, just because if practices don't have membership plans in their office, like, this is something I would highly consider now. But yeah, I want to hear from you. Like, I think the best time is now to get a membership plan, but is there also like specific points in a career of a dentist or an office on when they should really just sit back and think, is now the time? Are there key moments in their career?
I would say it doesn't have to do with where you are in your career, how long you've been practicing. Is this a startup practice or is this a well established practice? Is it fee for service or is it a high PPO or, a Medicaid office? Those things matter less
Mm.
than the team to implement it, in all
Yeah,
honesty.
yeah.
There has to be alignment. Nothing kills these plans faster than a front office person that
Mm,
doesn't believe in it.
yeah.
So a dentist or a business owner can say till they're blue in the face that I want to implement this plan. But if the team doesn't think it's good, or if you're not paying your team members on these membership plan visits, which is where
Mm,
alignment in the RCM process comes, if you're excluding all hygiene production for your hygienists for membership patients, and you're walking everything out at zero production, and it doesn't go toward your office production, it
mm.
doesn't go to your bonuses or incentives or your hygienists, it's going to kill the plan.
Right.
It's not a bad plan. It's that's a management tracking issue you
Mm,
have. So you're going to be climbing an uphill battle if you aren't taking into consideration, how is my team incentivized? How am I tracking things? How are they, being compensated on this production? Maybe they're hourly, so it doesn't matter as much. But if there's an overall team bonus and you're not factoring in all of that preventive care production that you're doing for your hygiene program, nobody's going to want to,
yeah.
talk about it, because at the end of the day, they're there to make a paycheck and,
Mm-hmm.
support their family or their personal interests or whatever. So, I think it's less about where you are in your career as a dentist or a business owner. It's more about making sure you establish the why well enough for your team to really get on board and champion this. And then you put in the systems and processes in place to make sure that everybody's going to benefit, including the patient. And I did want to make a distinction, if because a lot of people say, "Oh, I already have a membership plan," and it's really structured as a discount plan, and they're
Mm,
so different. So a discount plan is when a patient would pay a nominal, usually a more nominal fee, like, 30, 50, $70 to join or to be part of the discount plan. And then when they come in for appointments, you bill out everything a la carte and they get a discount. So
mm,
they're always paying at their appointments, and everything that they say yes to, they pay for that day at a discounted rate. It's a psychology, it's a big psychological difference for the consumer. Again,
mm,
they're still coming in not knowing what you're going to bill, not knowing how much. It's not like you give them a rate sheet. They're seeing there how much the x-rays cost and they're
mm,
saying yes or no. They know they're on the discount plan, but it's not bundled and included. It doesn't give you that peace of mind, that transparency, that predictability that a membership plan does. So it
mm.
really is a big difference, not only from the economics for the business and tracking, but
Right.
the psychology of the consumer.
That's a really interesting point because I feel like the appeal as a consumer is knowing the transparency, knowing what you're going to pay. Like
And the
that's why I sign up for any membership or subscription is because, oh, set it and forget it almost.
mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Well, you're all inclusive. You
Yeah,
don't
that's
you don't
right.
care. It sounds like you would still book the more premium all inclusive than buy the cheap dream getaway at a discount, but you still have to pay for every single,
Yes.
thing when you're there at a discounted rate. Like,
Yes.
there's still that level of unknown.
100%. And that is, and maybe that's my fear, but I think it's a lot of people that just like, I could be spending more money, but it's the fear of the unknown and knowing too with our family and kids and things that happen in life. Like you can't prepare for everything that my fear is. I'm going to end up paying more because of something crazy that happens. So let me prepay and I have the security and I don't have to sit with the anxiety of the unknown. Yeah. So when offices start working with Plan Forward, it sounds like having the team on board is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. How do you help offices or what do you recommend for the implementation of the membership plan so that it isn't just another tool that they sign up for, but it is something that is actually impactful?
So our onboarding team would probably kick me in the shin under the table right now for what I'm about to say. But if you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen during the onboarding process, because it
Mm-hmm.
can sometimes be difficult. But if
Yeah.
you've got a very skeptical office manager or treatment coordinator, I would highly encourage that person to be part of the pricing conversation, because I think the way we guide practices through that helps get them really comfortable that this not only is really good for the patient, but it's going to be good for the business too. Understanding the RCM, the ledger management piece, once
Mm-hmm.
they just understand the mechanics of it and they see where the value is for the patient, they really can get on board with it. But again, at the end of the day, if you're choosing to set things up to where people aren't comped, incentivized by offering the plan, then no matter what we do or train to get them on board, they're still going to have their own personal bias against why
Mm-hmm.
this isn't good for them.
I mean, I think everyone loves competition. Like we are just had a meeting on this for events that we go to, like having a
Mm-hmm.
goal of how many lead scans we want to get.
Yep.
And I love winning. And I just like hitting a goal. Like even if it's Not that it doesn't mean anything, because it does, but like just the fact of like, oh, we hit 50 or 100, like it gives you that dopamine feeling of like teamwork, we did it, and
That's right.
excitement in the dental practice that can be so chaotic and stressful sometimes. That it's
Mhm.
like, let's give our team more goals to hit so we can celebrate, but also making them obtainable so that you hit them. But I love that it sounds like you're very passionate about making sure there is an incentive to the team in order to make membership plans the most successful.
Exactly. I mean, it's really just alignment. The biggest thing you can do is make sure your team's on board. If you have people that are super skeptical, get them involved in the process and help them really understand what the plan is before you try to launch it. And address any issues, call them out head on, during
Yeah.
that implementation process. We're certainly there to help and to talk through and lend our experience. There isn't a scenario or an office manager or a blocker that we haven't dealt with. Most you can overcome, but it really is about getting everybody aligned. And
Yeah.
again, we've got a lot of experience doing it, but we can't do it all.
Right. Completely agree. Now I'm interested with, because you have to get some misconceptions and myths about dental membership plans. What would you say are the most common questions or myths or misconceptions? I would say, like, personally, one of mine, I'm just not knowledgeable enough with membership plans to necessarily understand all the ins and outs about insurance and can they use insurance? Is it state by state? Like, are there rules and regulations? So like
Yeah.
that's mine personally, but I'm sure you have a lot of people coming in with questions or myths that they've heard. What
Yeah.
are the common ones that you hear and would
Mhm.
love to hear like your answers to them?
Yeah, there are certain, state by state regulations. And that is one thing that we're there to help talk them through and providing them with member agreements that are compliant with their state and, answering those questions. Another myth is that membership plans don't work. You lose money doing membership plans,
Mm,
or like we lost money doing membership plans. So, it
mm,
just didn't work for us. I think it's all in how you structure the plan and
mhm,
how you evaluate what are your uninsured patients, how are they performing not on a membership plan, and how are they performing on the membership plan. So just kind of doing that before and after analysis is really important.
mhm,
But at the end of the day, members produce 2 to 3 times more than an uninsured patient not
mm.
on the membership plan in the same 12-month period. So
Wow.
they're just more productive and more valuable for the business. Now, if you're not making money on it, then you need to reevaluate your cost structure
Mm,
where your plan is priced. It also highly depends on your UCR rate. I mean, or your standard fee.
yeah.
So cash patients, it's fair competition out there. So you're competing with other membership plans in the area. And so when it doesn't matter what your standard fee is compared to your insurance reimbursement rates, uninsured patients are comparing your fee against, the neighbor
Mm,
down the road. And so it certainly doesn't have to be the cheapest, but it has to be the easiest to understand. And I wouldn't recommend it being the cheapest, but it has to be easy to understand and it has to be packaged in a way that shows value. The other
mm,
thing that generally doesn't work is pricing your plan above what the total of your standard fees are for the plan and
mm,
trying to add in a bunch of bells and whistles that people
mhm,
probably don't care about or want to pay for because in your mind you're like, oh, look at all these 19 things that are included in here, and the patient's like, well, I only use 3 of those, so
mm,
I'm not going to join that plan. So you have to put yourself in their shoes. What is the patient thinking when they come in? They're thinking, what do I absolutely need? What do I want to
mhm,
pay for? And if I join this plan, am I going to save money on it? And how much am I going to save?
mm.
So, I think the am I going to lose money is a misconception.
Have you ever had people not implement it because they say like, "Oh, we just don't have time to add something else"?
Definitely. That is
We get that a lot.
absolutely,
Yes.
change is hard. Change
Yes.
and dental practices are notoriously terrible for change management.
Hmm.
It's hard to change and it's hard to, get away from doing things the way you've always done it.
Hmm.
So I think having someone to help you through it, like we help the team through it. We basically put everything on a platter and let them swing, or put it on the tee and let them swing. We serve it up to them so it's almost you can't mess it up. And then providing all of the support materials and documents and guiding through it step by step is critical. But there are times when your office manager is on maternity leave, well,
Mm.
you probably maybe want to wait till the office
Right.
manager gets back. Or the dentist is getting ready to go out on a 3-week vacation, or I don't know, you're getting ready to bring on an associate. And you either want to get that in place before the associate
Mm-hmm.
starts, if a partner's joining, if you're getting ready to raise your fees, or, there are certain times when we may say, it's probably best to hold off, but it's rare that it's not just, we're just spinning on the hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And if we actually just focused on this and took the time, I think on average, we require like 3 hours over a couple weeks of their time. And it's not everybody for 3 hours.
Right.
It's like you got to get a couple people for, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. We need some approvals on this stuff. We need to do a team training. It's not a massive undertaking. And then if we do
Mm-hmm.
our job well and train, then, it's just kind of, it grows from there. But that's
Yeah.
a big
It is. So I'm an oddball in that I love change. Like I love the uncomfortable of change, but I know that's not a quote unquote normal reaction. But
one.
I would say, if your office's goals are growth only happens through change. Like you grow through the uncomfortable. So I think just evaluating is our office trying to grow? If it's the case, which most are, trying to grow. Maybe not all. Some probably are happy maintaining, but most I would say are wanting to grow. So then as a team, is our motto that we embrace change? Because if not, that is going to not allow you to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if it's not grow, improve, become more efficient.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
everyone is busy. I've yet to meet anyone that works that isn't busy. There's always stuff to do. But
Right.
I mean, just think about the patient that's not insured. How long do you spend talking to that patient about cost
Mhm.
or recommendations on plans or, financing options? I mean, those conversations, if you take every single uninsured patient you see and you're having that many conversations that are even 20 minutes, 30 minutes, multiple times in a month, and you just cut all that out when you
Yeah.
introduce a membership plan and it's a check the box and this is what it is. Here's your option. You can join our plan or you can pay UCR.
Mm-hmm.
That's the option.
Right. In my head, like my perspective is, and probably in life is like, it doesn't hurt to try something. Like let's try it. Try a membership plan. Try even with outsourced dental billing. Try it. Be
Yep.
open to trying it. And then I think the most important part is you have to track it. You have to have KPIs that you're tracking and numbers. That is over your feelings and emotions. The data will tell you if it's working or not. So I think if you don't know, just try it. And if it doesn't work, that doesn't make anybody a failure. Like that's life. Like you pivot. If that wasn't working, pivot, try something different, but don't be scared to try something, even if you aren't sure if it's going to be a solution for your office or not.
And I would add to that, try it. If it doesn't feel as smooth as it should, give
Mm,
feedback. you
yes.
know, give feedback to the person that's helping or to the vendor or to the customer service person. Tell them what you're struggling with. They can't help you if they don't
Mhm.
know what's going on or if there's one person really sabotaging the whole thing. There has to be a feedback loop and you have to commit to that feedback going in if you want the best experience possible. Then, if you've gone through that and they've tried different solutions and it's still not working, then I would say, maybe this isn't a solution for the office. But you can't expect the solution to be perfect if you're not giving feedback and it's a two-way street in the
Mhm.
beginning while you're implementing.
That's like music to my ear. I mean, that's what we like to have weekly calls when we have a new client startup. And the
Yeah.
purpose of that call is feedback because every office operates different. Every office wants things a certain way. And it's the best opportunity for us to get feedback from what's not working, but also if we have feedback so that our companies can collaborate and provide the best service when there is that
Mhm.
open communication. It's just, let's be honest and open. And if something's not going good, like, please don't hold back. Tell us what
Exactly.
isn't working so we can fix
We've
it.
invested, we've both
Yes.
invested to get you to this point. How can we maximize, all of those efforts and actually make this work?
Yes. I love that you guys do that too. Like feedback is crucial. And I think it's a good sign that maybe you're not working with the right company. If you try it, you give feedback, you give it time, and you track the numbers. And if it still isn't working, maybe that's not the right fit of a vendor partner for
Yep.
you.
Yep.
But I think if you can try those 4 things, like give it time, track the numbers, give feedback. And
Yep.
I think a lot of offices can be super successful implementing these things with just those 4 steps.
Yep. Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, before we wrap, I feel like there's so many other rabbit holes I could go down and want to talk to you about. It was just I feel like there is so much good information here and just very timely information for, I think, where our culture is going as a consumer. So I think dental offices need to be paying attention. But before we wrap up, I want to know if you want to share with our listeners, if you have any specials going on right now, how they can get in touch with you. Because I know there's a lot of offices that they're on the fence, like they need to just reach out. Just reach out, take the first step, and learn more. How can they do that? What's the best way?
Absolutely. Well, obviously our website, there's a contact form. If you don't want to book a demo, just, submit a question or, reach out and have somebody call you back. We're definitely on LinkedIn. We have a YouTube channel that has lots of great kind of resources and videos. I think those are probably our main channels. Facebook, we do have a Facebook page, but I think having that conversation, just reaching out, asking questions. And, a lot of times we'll get something through the contact page. How much do you charge? It's like the first thing out of the gates, right?
Yep.
Well, we can tell you our pricing without context. It really doesn't mean much. So I think, be open to a call, at least get on a call. Don't try to solve it with email, so I guess that's my recommendation is if you want to reach out, let's at least have a conversation. Would absolutely love to connect with anybody. And a special March promotion, if you want your membership plan or get in touch with us by the end of March, you get your first month free. So certainly mention this. This isn't like a company-wide thing. It's specific for this podcast. So please mention that you heard about it here and we'll give you your first month free.
Amazing. And thank you for doing that. And
Absolutely.
like we said, just do it. There's no cons to trying something. Reach out, have a conversation. And I guarantee you, if you do the steps that we talked about here, you won't be disappointed with embracing a dental membership plan and going with Plan Forward. So please reach out to Meg, and I'll make sure all the links are in the show notes as well. So go right there, click on where you need to go, get in touch, and don't miss out on that special too.
Thank you, Ashley.
Hey listeners, Ashley here with a quick programming note. Since this podcast isn't getting released until the end of the month, Plan Forward has graciously agreed to extend their special offer for Wisdom Podcast listeners into April. Thank you so much, Plan Forward. So hurry, don't wait. Go get your call scheduled with Plan Forward today. Thanks so much. Thank you for joining us on today's journey through a new era of dentistry. Subscribe, stay tuned, and transform your career, practice, and patient experience. Until next time, keep innovating, keep caring, and stay smiling.